Welcome everyone. It has not been that long. This is actually the next morning after I did my first streaming and scheming, but today I woke up and was like, you know what, let's do another one. That was fun. And it gets me to create stuff, and I like doing that. Even if I don't have much in the ways of entertainment, I do like to create things. So let's get on that. So today, I had a thought. I've been thinking about it for a few days, as I usually do. My mind's always somewhere else. I want to make a settlement. This is just it's not going to be very. I guess it's going to be a little special. So I want to make a settlement for my campaign. So if you play my campaign, if you're a player in my campaign, fuck off. This video's not for you, and if you watch this and cheat and know what's coming, I will slap you. There's only like 4 dudes who play my campaign, but I will find you and I will slap you if you watch this. So, the idea for this settlement. There's a lost city called Argos. My campaign is set in Theros, which I modified, of course, because it's way more fun to personalize it. The lost polis of Argos, and the backstory of that is just it was ran by a line of kings, and the last king, Cervantos, got overwhelmed with greed and just started hoarding all the best foods, all the magic items, just all the secrets of ancient knowledge and magic and all kinds of art. He just hoarded it all within his castle. Eventually his kingdom fell into ruin, and the gods smote him and his polis. So the polis is now abandoned for the most part, and there's a constant raging storm overhead. Kuranos was the one who smote it. So there's just a constant thunderstorm with rain and lightning around it, and it's a kind of it would be a hotspot for looters and adventurers, but it's very out of the way. You gotta go through like a month of the wilderness just to get there, and once you do, it's very dangerous for all the magical creatures and elementals that reside there due to all like the magic and stuff. On the outskirts of that territory, though, probably about a day's travel away, so it's outside the storm, we have a village of goblins. Way long story short, goblins in my Theros are evolved from halflings. That Thassa would be cool, be like, hey, what if you were just like part shark? So they don't have like a swim speed, but they have like the predatory instincts. And they just kind of evolve from halflings with that kind of with those kinds of instincts. Mechanically, they're exactly the same as normal goblins, though I don't like the ugly, scary goblins that are standard. I like more. Maybe they're not all cute, but I do like easier to look at goblins than like the more monstrous ones that D&D is known for. Excuse me. Whew. And so I want to make this settlement. Now the idea, hold on. I've been gassy the last few days. I don't know why. It's that breakfast sausage, I tell you. Anyway, this town is neutral if you want to use the alignment chart. They're neutral. They're just kind of out in the wilderness doing their own thing. They can be allies or enemies depending on how the party interacts with them. But at the center of this of this community of goblins is a dragon called Dezinabri. Now, Dezinabri is only a young dragon, and that's where we're going to be starting, because Dezinabri is at the center of the settlement. It is their leader, effectively. No, a leader is wrong. It's more like their sovereign. Like, whatever it says goes, but it doesn't really bother itself with the nitty-gritty details of running the community. It kind of outsources that responsibility to the goblins themselves. Of course, it has, like, 2 or 3 goblins that deal with most of the leadership within the community, and then those 2 or 3 are beholden directly to Dezinabri. Before I get any further, I do want to point out that yes, I do have some background ambience going this time. Probably easier to listen to. So that all the pauses I take while speaking are filled with something. I am listening to Tabletop Audio. They have a lot of free music and ambience, which is, again, free to use. I'm not sponsored, but I really appreciate what they do. And if you want to support them on Patreon, you get even more variations of the tracks that they are already give you for free. So yeah, check them out. They make quality stuff, and I like to use their stuff in my campaign. Yeah, just wanted to point that out, so I'm giving credit where credit is due. Check out Tabletop Audio; they're great. Okay, so Dezinabri. Let's get started. Because I didn't mute my phone. Anyway, because Dezinabri is at the center of the... My word. I gotta silence that real quick. I am sorry. Also, today is gonna be great for stuttering. I can already tell. But sometimes it be like that. It is also relatively early in the morning, so which is weird. Sometimes that makes me stutter more, or sometimes it makes me stutter less. If there was a rhyme or reason to it, I don't know what is. And we're back. Okay, so keep in mind, Dezinabri is a young dragon. So it's not too powerful. It would still constitute a pretty difficult encounter for my party at this point in time. They're level about 7. And I'm going to be basing this Dezinabri off of a young... Where is it? How's the alphabet go again? Young blue dragon. Now, I could actually check out the sea serpent. I have the, that was weird. I have, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons in, D&D Beyond. So I could check out sea serpent, but I believe sea serpents are, like, way too powerful for what I need right now. I can check that real quick. I wanted to use a blue dragon just because lightning, but I can check out sea serpents real quick just to make sure that that I'm doing what I want here. Sea serpents, ancient sea serpent, CR 14. That's really weak for a sea serpent, or for an ancient. Young sea serpent is CR 8. Yeah, that's definitely not really what I want. Okay, so we're gonna stay with Blue Dragon. Okay, and I don't really subscribe to, painting all dragons with the same brush. I don't like that. The dragons they have are a great starting point in D&D, not D&D Beyond, in 5th edition. Their dragons are a great starting point, but you gotta customize them. You gotta make them your own, because if you don't, they're all kind of the same, except for the element and the shape of their breath attack. So this is Dezinabri. It will be Dezinabri. I don't subscribe to alignment, but if we were to ascribe one to Dezinabri, it might be lawful neutral. Yeah, lawful neutral. That's what I like to see. Okay. So, want to get something out of the way. Movement. Dezinabri is not a classical dragon. In my Theros, there are very few actual like classic dragons. I don't believe Dezinabri is going to be one of them, so we're going to edit Dezinabri's walking speed. Well, this right here. There is no burrow speed. Bam. No, thank you. Do I want to fly speed even? I'm going to say no. Because Dezinabri is an aquatic dragon. I'm going to give Dezinabri a swimming speed of 60 feet, which is pretty fast for a swim speed. Okay, we can deal with these a bit later. The skills, stealth, and perception. Yeah, we can deal with those a bit later. Okay. So, Dezinabri. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I hate this notation. It makes it really hard to look at. I hate looking at it. So yeah, I'm sorry if you want to use my stuff and roll it in D&D Beyond, but no. It's ugly and it's hard to keep track of. Bow. And the claws as well. Okay. Now, what are my kind of ideas for how I want Dezinabri to be different? Well, of course, I'm going to change Dezinabri's stats. Also, I want Dezinabri to be female, just because it's kind of my idea. So I'll be referring to Dezinabri as she and her for the rest. It has no real effect on her as a character. So, get out of here. The rollable, I could keep the rollable, but like, I think it requires all this too. So, no, get out of here. Okay, the breath is the big thing. I want Dezinabri to be a spellcaster. But we're gonna start with water breathing. How is that worded? Can breathe underwater. And that's not water breathing. Water breathing is when you can only breathe underwater. That's amphibious. Can breathe underwater as well as on land, as well as in air. That is more precise. Okay. So, where do I want to start? Strength 21, fine. Dexterity is probably fine. Constitution probably fine. Intelligence probably fine. Wisdom probably fine. Charisma, we're gonna bump that up to a 19. Only coastal. Oh yeah, the city of Argos was directly on the coast, so it's a raging coastal storm, so it's even worse. And the landscape has a lot of natural caves that kind of interweave with each other and extend actually pretty far inland. So there are underwater saltwater caves. Flooded saltwater caves that, you know, connect to the ocean, even several miles inland. So Dezinabri uses these underwater caves as its lair, and so even though the community of goblins is built inland, Dezinabri's lair is actually beneath the community. It's underground in a seawater cave. And there will be like a kind of like a central, maybe not central, but like the communal hut where they go and talk to Dezinabri is it will just be like where one of these caves comes to the surface. So the main attraction as to why Dezinabri is different is because of her breath. It's not a normal breath attack. She can do the lightning breath. That's not spelled correctly. Versatile breath. Recharge 5/6. Dezinabri hails. Lightning in a 60-foot line that is 5 feet wide. Each creature in the line must make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw, taking 55 10d10 lightning damage on failed save, or have so much on a successful one. Yes, good. That is just bog standard young blue dragon breath. Or I think I saw a little bit of fluff from my blanket. That's very weird. Dezinabri summons. in initiative, not iterative. While the living breath is alive. Dezinabri's versatile breath cannot recharge. Okay. So, she can either do the normal breath attack of a blue dragon, or she can summon a creature, which is just really her breathing the lightning, but shaping it into a creature that can act on its own. It's going to be an elemental, and I will work on that right after her. I hope I can tag it as like a creature and just have it directly link to when I make it. That would be nice. Okay. So the reason how I'm gonna balance this is so the breath is I'm gonna have the living breath have about the same damage per round on average as that's not the right way of wording it. I want these two options to have the same average DPR. Like I said before, in 5th edition, you assume, for the sake of balance, that combat will last about 3 rounds. So how that works with a recharge, like a breath attack, is because it has a 1 in 3 chance of recharging, you just assume that they get to use their breath attack once in those 3 rounds. So, a young dragon like this, their maximum damage per round will be if they use their breath attack, which is 55. And on the other rounds, they use their multi-attack, which is 1 bite and 2 claws, which is 21 for the bite and 24 for the claws total, which is going to be 21, 24 is 45. So the average DPR would be 55 plus 45 plus 45 divided by 2. It's going to be close to 50, I think. Divided by 3, I mean. It's going to be 48. That would be their average DPR over 3 rounds. They use their breath attack once, and then the other turns they use their multi-attack. So, the idea... That's not right, actually, because the breath attack deals AoE damage. So that'd be effectively 110, because you assume the breath attack hits two people. 66.6. Okay. Which is actually CR10. 66.6. Okay. So, the idea is for the living breath to have a DPR of 1/3 the lightning breath. Say breath weapon. Breath weapon and the living breath. The word breath is beginning to lose meaning, which is fun. Okay. So if the living breath has a damage per round that is 1/3 the breath weapon, that means that the DPR, the average damage per round, will stay the same. It'll just be more spread out. It won't be as concentrated in that first round. because the living breath goes directly after Dezinabri in initiative, it just acts in the same round, and then it deals the same amount of total damage just over the course of 3 rounds. With the obvious change being that it is a creature, so it occupies space, it can make opportunity attacks, and it has hit points and AC and that kind of stuff. So it is going to be difficult to deal with, just for a different reason than the normal breath attack. And when you are dealing with a creature that can summon other creatures, you have to take into account the summoned creature's DPR when deciding its challenge rating. Treants can do the same thing. If you look at a Treant, it's also CR9, and its offensive CR is about 1/3 what you would expect from a CR9, but it has this action where it can just summon 2 basically other Treants, so it just triples itself. So the other two copies contribute to its DPR. It's something that it can do. So yeah, and with the catch that while the living breath is alive, her versatile breath cannot recharge. So she's just focusing her elemental power on sustaining the living breath. If that wasn't a thing, then in theory she could just summon as many as she wanted infinitely. And I don't want that to be the case. This idea came from 4th edition, actually, with the Orium dragon. Except their breath attack recharged when the living breath died. So you were punished for killing it in that the breath immediately came back off of cooldown, and it actually did have an initial burst AoE. It wasn't very strong, but it's still like there's no right answer to deal with that. So I want to make this a little bit more fair. How it's actually a choice. As long as the breath is alive, you know she can't recharge her breath, because the last thing you want is to have the living breath, kind of weaken you down, and then she pops up after you kill the summon to use her breath weapon and finish you off. And because she can swim and breathe underwater, all she's going to do is summon the breath to fight you while she hides underwater. Like, she doesn't want to fight you, so screw it. And the breath is its own creature, so it can see and perceive. So she doesn't have to be able to see you in order to send her breath to fight you. Yeah. So, I will make the living breath shortly. Not lawful evil, lawful neutral. Why you gotta be like that? Dezinabri, yes. Okay. So that is the big change to Dezinabri, is that she has that and the what's it called? Swim speed. The alternate movement speed. Do I want to change her bite or claws? Do I? Do it now. Her other stats. Do I want to change it? I increased her charisma. Well, let's increase her dexterity to 13. Lower her constitution to 17. So her AC goes up to 19. It's not necessarily how it goes, because her AC comes from natural armor, but I'm just going to say that her scales are just as hard as they were. She just now has dexterity with which to also resist you. Just fun. Her constitution was lowered by 1. 16 hit dice. So she loses 16 of her hit point modifier, which I believe is 48. But I can't do math early in the morning, so I am going to Just do it. Yep, 48. There we go. 48. She lost 16 hit points from, so that's a 146. 136. Sorry. So she's a little bit glassier than your average young blue dragon. 136 hit points with an immunity to lightning. She's like CR5 or CR6 tanky. So she's not that tanky. But remember, her lair and battle strategy allows her to basically be completely safe from harm if she wants to fight you. So it's not that's less of an issue. Yeah, and I also want her to be a spellcaster. This is technically it's going to be innate spellcasting. I'm using the variant in the monster manual for dragons as innate spellcasters. They are innately magical creatures that can master a few spells as they age using this variant. A young or older dragon can innately cast a number of spells equal to its charisma modifier. Each spell can be cast once per day, requiring no material components, and the spell's level can be no higher than 1/3 of the dragon's challenge rating rounded down, which for Dezinabri she's CR 9, so the spells can be up to level 3. The dragon's bonus to hit with spell attacks is equal to its proficiency bonus plus its charisma bonus. The dragon's spell save DC equals 8 plus its proficiency bonus plus its charisma modifier. Okay, so whoa there, brother. Why are we doing this? Dezinabri is a spellcaster. Using charisma as her spellcasting ability. Spell attack bonus plus, I believe her, what did I make her charisma? 19, so she's got a +4, and her proficiency as a CR 9 is also +4. So that is a +8. Spell save DC is going to be 8 plus 8 is 16. She can cast 4 spells with the variant, though I am also going to give her a cantrip or 2, just because I like doing that. Cantrips won't change her CR, since she can't use them as part of her multi-attack. And since she can cast spells up to level 3, she's effectively a 5th level caster, so I guess she could cast them at the 2nd. Maybe I don't want to give her cantrip. I don't know yet. Let's just say she can cast the following spells once per day each without requiring material. Without requiring material components. Whew. Okay. Lightning Bolt is a level 3 spell. So is Call Lightning. Okay. Those are placeholders because these are very common lightning spells. But she might just keep them, just because. So let's take a look at the... Probably at the wizard spell list, and we're gonna... Spell level 1, 2, 3. Filter spells. And we're gonna go with spell level. So, what could she do? Absorb elements, that'd be fun. Alarm as a ritual. I don't think she's a ritual caster, so that would be not as effective, although that would be really funny. I could make her a ritual caster. That'd be hilarious. Honestly, that's actually kind of lit. Ritual caster, and can cast falling spells once per day each without requiring material components. So we got Alarm, Lightning Bolt, Call Lightning. Disguise self-absorb value or tremor. No, let's just retreat. Nah, false life for the fall. No. Find familiar. That'd be funny. I actually like find familiar in this case. Find familiar would be very useful for like going out to scout and stuff. For scoping out the city. Obviously, Dezinabri's, as a character, her motivation is to acquire like the ancient art and magical secrets from the Polis of Argos, but it's too dangerous for her or her goblins to go in. Like, it's not really worth the risk of losing things. Not to say she's never made journeys into there, but she can't fly, so it's not like she can avoid all the problems in there. And even if she could, there is like a rainstorm with like howling winds going on all the time. The lightning's not going to bother her because she's immune. But there is another creature in there, at least one, that poses a significant threat to her. It's about the same strength, but it's a legendary creature. It's actually a mythic, so it would probably win in a fight, which would not be good for her. So she can't really go in there safely. And that one creature is hardly the only threat. There are loads of other magical threats, so it's not worth it to her to risk losing her life or losing the lives of like half of her community of goblins just to acquire that stuff. Like, yeah, it is like the dragon's instinct to hoard things they find valuable, but even if she did sacrifice her goblins, which she doesn't want to do, even if she did sacrifice them, it's probable that they wouldn't come back because they just die. So yeah, it's not worth it to her to do that. So she's got two utility spells, Alarm and Find Familiar. Alarm mostly just for keeping keeping her lair safe and putting certain alarms in certain places just so just to keep tabs on things. And I like to give spells upcasts even if they don't usually have them. But rituals can't be upcast, so there's not really a point to that if you're casting them as a ritual. For alarm, I'd say that it would last more time. Usually it'll last for 8 hours. But if she casts it as a 3rd tier spell, which is the level of spell she can cast, I'd say it'll last for longer. It's not really a big deal. It's just would make it a little bit easier for her. Mage armor, ray of sickness, shield. Sleep, snare, hideous laughter, fleeting disc, thunder wave. Unseen servant, witch bolt, acid arrow, Agnazar's scorcher. Okay, we're entering 2nd level. Blur would be hilarious and mean. That would be rough. For the duration, concentration up to 1 minute. Any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. If they don't rely on sight, if they have like blind sight or tremor sense, then it doesn't affect them. But like that would be mean. She already has an AC of 19. Her casting blur on herself would be real mean. Large reduce. And I want to make sure they are thematically appropriate. When you're giving spells to your creatures, make sure they are in theme with the creature. Like I could give her Flaming Sphere, but she's a blue dragon. She has nothing to do with fire at all. So it wouldn't really make sense for her to have that. Locate object. I feel like a dragon would want to have locate object just for the sake if someone steals from her hoard. That would be hilarious. She will find you if you're within 1,000 feet of her. Rhyme's Binding Ice would be fun. It's a new spell from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. It's a 30-foot cone. 1 action. A burst of cold. In 30-foot cone, each creature must make a Constitution saving throw on a failed save, takes 3d8 cold damage, and is hindered by icy formations for 1 minute or until it or another creature within reach of it uses an action to break away the ice. So it's a nice little... action economy thing. Keep them in place if they get too close. That could be an option. It is cold, not lightning, but like she's aquatic, you know, it kind of makes sense. I can see that working out. Counterspell to dispel magic. Where's the fast friends? Fear. Oh, fear would be fun. She doesn't have her frightful presence, but just knowing the spell fear. Another 30-foot cone. It's concentration as well. They get frightened of you, and while they're frightened by the spell, they must use their action to dash and move away from you by the safest route possible, unless there is nowhere to move. If it ends its turn in a location where it can't see you, then they can make a save for the spell to end. That could be fun. Hold up, no material components. Glyph of warding? You what? They wouldn't really work with the other spells that she has, though. Lightning Bolt is a classic and is really strong. Some might say too strong. Ooh, Tidal Wave, actually. Tidal Wave, there we go. The area, you can conjure a wave of water that crashes down on an area within range, which is 120 feet. It's got range. The area can be up to 30 feet long, up to 10 feet wide, and up to 10 feet tall. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 4d8 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage and isn't knocked prone. The water then spreads out across the ground in all directions, extinguishing unprotected flames in the area within 30 feet of it, and then vanishes. Yeah, Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave instead of Lightning Bolt. Gives her some CC. And Call Lightning could be her last spell. Excuse you. Put a period there, not a comma. If I include Druid, because I was looking at the Wizard list only, and they don't. And Wizards don't learn Call Lightning. Yes. Every turn you can use your action. When you cast... Okay, so, just to explain. Range is 20 feet. It's 120 feet, I'm sorry. A storm cloud appears in the shape of a cylinder that is 10 feet tall with a 60-foot radius, centered on a point you can see within range directly above you. So you summon this cloud above you. The spell fails if you can't see a point in the air where the storm cloud could appear. For example, if you were in a room that can't accommodate the cloud. So this could only be used outside. When you cast the spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. So, it's a radius of 60 feet around you. And the cloud is 120 feet above you. I guess it doesn't have to be 120 feet above you. 10 feet tall, 60-foot radius, and a point you can see directly above you. Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be that tall, but it'd still be hard to use indoors. If you can't accommodate the cloud, it fails. When you cast a spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point. Each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes 3d10 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. On each of your turns until the spell ends, you can use your action to call down lightning in this way. Again, targeting the same point or a different one. Choose a point you can see under the cloud, yes. If you are outdoors in stormy conditions when you cast this spell, the spell gives you control over the existing storm instead of creating a new one. Under such conditions, the spell's damage increases by 1d10. It's a very good spell, so she could have that going and her living breath going at the same time. Which would kind of be gross. That's a lot to deal with. She's not going to be attacking you because, like, she'd be using Call Lightning. But in this way, she could come at you from range and support her living breath from range, which is sad. She could do so with Tidal Wave and with Call Lightning. And the Alarm and Find familiar spells are more for utility, protecting her horde and community, and having familiars to to scout for her as a whale. And I'm gonna make a rider here just because I want to. Dezinabri can have up to 3 familiars at once. She's a dragon, kind of makes sense. And this will help her scout things out. Though she can only make 1 familiar per day, because she can only cast Find Familiar once per day. Actually, that is that's a ritual, isn't it? That's a ritual, isn't it? Find familiar, 'tis. That's fine, though. That's fine. So her familiars will always be scouting for her, which is good. Okay, so at this point, Dezinabri is complete. I didn't change her strength, so her attacks are the same. I gave her spellcasting. And I changed her how she can use her breath attacks. So these changes are good. So we're going to save that. Languages, common and draconic. There is no common in my Theros. There's 1 language for each of the 6 different poli. So it's a regional language. So common doesn't exist. So instead, so I'm going to delete common. She speaks draconic, obviously, yes. But instead of I'm stupid and I'm currently editing her draconic. So I'm going to add a language. She is going to speak Goblin because she rules over goblins, so it makes sense for her to speak that. Senses, Blind Sight, and Dark Vision. I'm not real keen on Blind Sight. I'm really not, so I'm just going to take that away. I want dragons to be able to be affected by illusions. I really do. Or at least, like, reduce the Blind Sight to, like, 10 feet or something. Dark Vision, I have hampered Dark Vision pretty extensively, so I'm going to reduce that to 60 feet in Theros, because Dark Vision is so good. So for the players, I reduced it to like half, I think, half or a third of the distance. So it effectively is a very small torch and can extend the range of torches. Because I just hate how most races just don't have to use a torch at all whatsoever. It makes me angry. So Dark Vision out to 60 feet. And let's add a sense. We're going to give her Blind Sight, just like she had before. Blind Sight, 30 feet, only underwater. Okay. Blind Sight, 30 feet, only underwater. She has sonar, is what she has. Echolocation, only underwater, though. So there's a limit to that. And I like that. Movement, already touched upon. Walking speed of 40 feet, swim speed of 60 feet. I like that. Can't fly, that's a problem. She is, I imagine her being serpentine in nature, so she's got like a long body, and she's still got like draconic limbs, just no wings. And she has fins and frills instead of like spikes on her. I imagine her being quite elegant and beautiful to look at for a dragon. I imagine she takes good care of her scales so that like they're this nice, like not super deep, but like a deeper blue, maybe with like some corally pinks on her frills. I like that. Skills. Her stealth goes up by 1 because I gave her 1 more dexterity. I'm cool with that. Perception, her wisdom is the same. She has expertise in it for some reason. Add a skill. We're going to say persuasion, which is base of 4. It's actually 8 because she's a proficiency bonus of +4 and her status +4. Persuasion +8. Cool beans. Add a skill. We are also going to put in performance +8. I mentioned that she likes poetry, and I imagine that she hoards more artistic pieces, so she has a soft spot for written works, especially poetry, though she does also very much appreciate the visual arts, like paintings, fine crafts, fine pottery, fine jewelry, that kind of stuff. Performance, I'm actually going to give her expertise in performance, so she can do stunning oratory if she wants. And I'll give her 1 more skill, because I want to. Acrobatics. She's going to be trained in acrobatics, so that's a +5. Cool beans. Okay. 5 skills. I think those are nice. Skills, but by the way, are a fantastic way to personalize a creature and give it character, because they show what a creature's skills are, shows really what it values and what it practices in its life. Not necessarily what it values, but it can kind of glean into that. Do I want to keep this perception? Yeah, why not? It can really give a glimpse into like their inner life and like what they choose to practice in their free time. So I do like that. Always think about adding skills to a creature, especially a sentient one, to really give a glimpse, give a window as to like what they do with their free time. It can really help bring a creature to life. Skills: stealth, perception, persuasion, performance, and acrobatics. Yes. Senses: dark vision 60 feet, blind sight 30 feet, only underwater. Good. Movement: walking speed of 40 feet, swim speed of 60 feet. Okay. Save information. Though I did want to add one thing. She's an underwater creature, so it would behoove her to have a resistance to cold damage. Lots of underwater creatures have resistance to cold damage, just so it comes from like the ocean's naturally a cold place, so especially deep ocean, so it would make sense if she had some resistance to cold, just because. And I'm fine with that. She's a little bit less tanky than a normal dragon anyway, so I am fine with that. Okay, so that is... I forgot to full screen it. Man, I'm so unprofessional. Yeah, so I timestamped myself during that. Oopsie. Oh well. So, now we need to make her breath. Dezinabri's living breath. And I have no idea. I can make it from an elemental, I suppose. From an air elemental animated breath. Hold up. Was this already a thing? Hold up. This must be in the Treasury of Dragons. I honestly didn't know that this existed. The more you know. I thought I was being original. CR6? How much damage is this? Stop that. I don't think these are summons. I think they are just, they just exist in the world. I think they're Dezinabre's living breath. Large creature. Yeah, sure. What is your slam attack? Get rid of all this notation so I can actually see what I'm dealing with here. Makes it so difficult to read. Oh my word. Huh? Oh. So difficult to read. There we go. So what is this? Slam. 2d8 plus 4 bludgeoning damage plus lightning damage. Okay, we're gonna make that a bite. Okay. I'm gonna make it a bite. Strength is 19. Okay. This thing is gonna have... See, I want it to survive, but how tanky do I really want it to be? Okay. One, it is straight up immune to lightning. It is made of lightning. Intelligence of 3. It's kind of dumb. It's just the living breath. It's an elemental. It's not supposed to be like really like really smart. This isn't its own creature that you'll find in the wild. This is just a summon that she uses in combat. So it has 30. And it's gonna have 85 hit points. 85 hit points is, by the way, the maximum of CR1. Even if we double it for lightning, which I wouldn't do, it would be CR, I don't know, 6, 7. It's not really that big of a deal. 85 hit points. That is dealable with. Its bite is its main source of damage. So assuming we keep it as a CR6. Its CR doesn't really mean much because it's a part of the Dezinabri encounter. So its DPR is just based on her DPR, which is 10d10. So I want about a third of that. So I want about 3d10 damage when this thing hits you. And it's made entirely of lightning, so it's going to be... Resisting strength, 19. 2d10 plus 4 lightning damage. Um... 11, 15. Okay, so here's the thing. The lightning breath deals 10d10 to 2 targets. To at least 2. It's an AoE, so you have to assume it hits 2. So its effective DPR is 20d10. Or 110. Say it's 110. And I want this thing to be able to deal a third of 110 per round. So that is 36.6. I want it to be able to deal 36 damage around thereabouts. So if I make this D12s, 13, that would bump that up to 17 damage on a hit. If it makes 2 bite attacks, makes 2 bite attacks per round, then that will deal 34 damage per round. Okay. So that is about the same average damage per round, because the breath does 110, and if we divide that over as like a constant effect over 3 rounds, that is 36. So this thing deals 34 damage per round, which is, you know, close enough. That's a little bit lower. We can get rid of that. That's a little bit lower than I could get it away with, but I don't want to split hairs on this. What I could do is just give it 20 strength and have it really deal 36, but I don't know if I want to do that. I don't think I will, because it's already a creature that she can just summon that you have to deal with. And 85 hit points is, yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, 85 hit points is fine. It's not like insurmountable by any means. I mean, it has less than 100 hit points. The party is gonna be able to deal with this. It's just that it's part of the Dezinabri encounter. Now, for it to get the full DPR, it does have to live for 3 rounds, but it's hard to balance that, because it all depends on who the party decides to focus. So you just kind of have to assume that it lives. And what most elementals have is resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. That would definitely jack up its AC. I want to do that and then lower its constitution again. Make that 15. Its hit point modifier goes down to 20. and its average hit points goes down to 75. Which, on its own, if I double 75, that's 150, would put it in CR6 range. Yeah, that would put it in CR6 range. So that gives it a little bit more variance in how this encounter could go, depending on if they have a magic weapon or not. If they don't have a magic weapon to deal it magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, this is going to be a problem. But if they do, it's not that bad. It could be way worse. And remember, while this thing is alive, Dezinabri cannot recharge her breath attack. So there's, on some levels, like, they might want to keep it alive if they're getting low. The longer the battle goes on, the more the more they are, the more they should probably keep it alive, because if it dies, she can recharge her actual breath weapon and use that to finish them off. Though there's nothing stopping her from just dismissing the animated breath. There's nothing stopping her from doing that. She totally could. Dark vision up to 60 feet. That's fine. Movement. It does not have this. I do want to make this thing quicker, though. So we're going to give it 50 feet. It's actually lightning. And instead of a fly speed, we're going to give it a swim speed of 30 feet. So it's slower in the water. But it's fast on land. And I'm cool with that. Dezinabri's Living Breath. Now, there is something that I need to check. And that is, can I tag that creature? I can tag spells, as you might have seen. I doubt I can do this, but it would be super cool if I could. I could have just gone straight back to Dezinabri. Oh, I can't! That sucks. It didn't work. Man! Can I do it as a monster? This is just me trying to figure out if this is something that I can do. I kinda doubt it. Hold up. Did I just put it in the wrong thing? Yeah, that's her versatile breath. Hold up. Tooltip not found, goddamn. No. Oh, my homebrew creations. Acts on its own, but always follows her commands. Hunting the strongest foes first, who might pose a threat to the dragon. So it goes after the strongest people first to weaken them. Because Dezinabri yourself can probably take the smaller ones. A supreme element made of the focused lightning breath of Dezinabri. It acts on its own but always follows her commands, hunting the strongest foes first, who might pose a threat to the dragon. She can dismiss the elemental at any time, but usually lets it fight for her for as long as possible until she is ready to finish powerful creatures off with her breath weapon. Cool beans. Sick. We are going to save that. Dezinabri's living breath. I'm going to share that with the community. Go back to my homebrew creations. Dezinabri. Can I do this tooltip? Monster. Dezinabri's living breath. I doubt it. I really do. Yeah, tooltip not found. All right, then I'll stop trying to do that. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. I'll have to look that up. I could have just gone straight here. Bam! Dezinabri. Yeah, her multi-attack does, what is that, 45 damage? Yeah, it's 16 plus 5 is 21, plus total of 24 is 45, and Call Lightning deals effectively 6d6, which is 33, so it doesn't affect her offensive CR, because her maximum damage per round has not changed. So yeah, I don't have to change her CR at all. She just has some more options. but just the fact that she can swim fast, she can breathe underwater, and she can just send her breath out to fight you, while she just hides underwater, will really challenge anyone who tries to actually kill her. Plus, you'll have to get through her settlement to actually find her. And that's the point. That's the last thing I wanted to touch on, is that it's really just something I've learned. This is just something of an anecdote, is that took me a while. It took me years to learn that there's no such thing as a fair fight, especially in D&D. And if it is a fair fight, quote unquote, a fair fight, the players actually have the advantage. That's just what I've found is usually the case. If it seems like it's a fair fight between the players and a group of monsters, the players are going to be the ones that have the advantage. And that's fine. Sometimes you really do meet adversaries in the middle of an open field. But one of the hardest parts about being a dungeon master, in my experience, is allowing yourself to have creatures fight unfairly. Because at the end of the day, these are supposed to be creatures that want to live, and they're going to do everything in their power to use every advantage they possibly can in a fight. So these goblins, when I continue creating this goblin community, like, they're gonna have like walls and stuff. They're not gonna fight fair. They're gonna have defenses in place so that if they're attacked, which they probably commonly pretty are in that area, since there's magical creatures and such roaming around, they can survive. They can deal with whatever comes their way. They're not going to play fair when their lives are at stake. They're going to use every advantage they possibly can. Just like Dezinabri is going to use every advantage she possibly can. We can see that she's not as tanky as dragons, as the average dragon. So, she needs ways to use the environment to her advantage. Undersea caves, or underwater caves, flooded caves, connected to the ocean, give her an escape if she ever needs one. And with a swim speed of 60 feet, there is nary a creature that could catch her. I mean, maybe some sharks could, but like she's basically assured to get away unless you restrain her in some way. Also kind of why I had her be trained in acrobatics so she can escape grapples. So, and she has a summon to help draw aggression away from her, or just to have it shoot out of the water and just tear into people that try to encroach on her domain. And there are going to be these like springs, that they're not actually springs. They're connected to saltwater caves that connect to the ocean. But there's going to be these like holes in the ground every so often in this area. Like it's going to be like it's karst terrain is the name for it. It's like it's an area where there's a lot of limestone, because limestone is water soluble, so it will dissolve in water very, very slowly, but it will dissolve in water. And these flooded caves are just a result of that. So yeah, and she will use these. The reason she would have picked this area is because of these undersea caves. I keep saying undersea. They're not under the sea. They're connected to the sea. Get with it. And she's going to use these caves because they exist. She didn't make them. It's just but given that they exist, of course she would put her lair there. That makes sense. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Don't be afraid to have your monsters or your creatures fight like they really want to live. Because at the end of the day, most of them do. So yeah. Don't be afraid to have your creatures fight unfairly. Design encounters fairly, but don't play the creatures fairly. There's a fine line between those two. It's really hard to keep a beat on where that line is, but the creatures want to live, so they're not going to pull any punches. So yeah, this has been Dezinabri. The center of this community. I really like the results. And I like these spells. It gives her a variety of things that she can do, both in combat and just for outside combat purposes. And I like that. She has more going on than just her in-combat abilities. Though her in-combat abilities are kind of scary. So yeah, so the next time I continue with this community, I will address the goblins themselves and the other creatures that live in this community. I already know a couple of animals that are going to be used in this community. I'm going to keep those a secret for now. Gotta tantalize you, leave you wanting more. There's going to be an aquatic creature that is going to be used, and there's going to be an amphibious creature that's going to be used. And these are just going to be normal animals that are used in the settlement. One of them is going to be used by the goblins themselves, and the other is used by Dezinabri as creatures she allows to live in these caves. Because she finds them useful. And this is like not even talking about the familiars she can get. And she'll have a variety of those. She can have up to 3 familiars at once, so it would behoove her to have 1 land, 1 sea, and 1 sky. Like one with just a ground one, a swimming one, and a flying one. Just so all her bases are covered. Though she can at any time ritual cast find familiar and change that. So yeah, look forward to that. I'll deal with the goblins and the other beasts that live there in harmony with said goblins. So yeah. This has been Dezinabri. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can pull some inspiration from this to customize your own named creatures. Because if they have a name, they need to have some personality. They need to have some changes, some personalizations to their abilities, and it just really helps bring them live. I didn't really change all that much, really. And her CR is the exact same, but this feels like a character as opposed to, you know, just your everyday young blue dragon. So I hope you can gain inspiration from this. This will be available as well, but really just don't be afraid to customize some stuff. 5e is really good for that, and it helps breathe some life into your world. Some might say a living breath, but that's a terrible joke, and I'm going to sign off now. Okay, bye.